Good evening, dear chess players and my subscribers to my channel. Today I wanted to make some experiment and try to cover Sicilian Sveshnikov from the white point of view. I had this idea that if you take an elite grandmaster and check some line which might be of importance, then, when we look at one elite grandmaster, it might be interesting what he thinks of this line. Yeah, I'm not saying that, let's say, Carlsen plays Rui Lopez, so let's look at the Carlsen. That's what normal person would do, but I'm just doing it as an experiment. And it turned out that Wesley So actually had one specialty in this Sicilian Sveshnikov, which I will show you, and also you will be able to be more brave in terms of choosing, like making research on your in the opening you are playing. All right, so let's move on. So Sicilian Sveshnikov, it's now actually very popular. It's been popularized by Carlsen Caruana match, where they played it, where Carlsen played it and defended with black. He didn't lose any game, and they still playing it. So Carlsen, I think, more a Sicilian player today. He played a lot of e5s recently, but of course in his career it has been his main move, I think, but now his style is more aggressive these days, so he wants to play more suitable opening for his style. And also this Sicilian Sveshnikov has a lot of tricks for black. I will show you one trick which I always fall into. Now I just make a short studying and I know what to do, but it appears that in Sicilian Sveshnikov, if player is playing a lot of chess and he devotes himself to chess, so it's better to play very sharp, very aggressive opening with tricks. Not just, let's say e5 would not be that move you want to consider, because in e5 you get a decent position, but you playing clearly as second player. You don't have so much activity in your pieces, but with the c5 and especially with Sicilian Sveshnikov, you have to memorize a lot of variations, but you can outplay your opponent from the opening. This is what I think. All right, so let's move to this position. So if you know, let's move back. So e4, c5, knight d3, knight c6. So very typical and very good moves. So Evgeny Sveshnikov, who is the big popularizer of this opening, so he recommends this move rather than d6, which he calls a mistake actually, because it develops a piece. Yeah, so it's very important that sometimes in Sicilian with this e6 and a6, these are good moves, but you see that pieces are not developed. This is somewhat a problem. So with knight c6, this is a good move. Likewise, we would play e5 and knight c6. So some ideas from this opening as well. So d4, ace takes, and knight f6. So the variation I wanted to show you before, which I always fall into with the Sicilian, which I play with white. So e5, this is early Sveshnikov, knight b5, which is the best move, and a6. I didn't understand this, but all the opponents are playing again. A lot of players do this move. So knight to d6 check, takes, and queen to e7. So if you take, then knight takes, and black will play d5. And also it's Sicilian. You have to know that you have to understand that if you're playing like against with white against Sicilian, so you want to keep queens on board. It's more exciting, and I think it's good for the game that we have this play with the queens. So at this point, I recommend this knight to queen to d1, knight f6, and knight c3. So this is the variation, and we control the d5 now. So black cannot play d5, so my move is d6, and bishop to e2. This I think has the best score against black, because we want to control g4 before we play bishop to e3, and we have two bishops and very nice position. Also we control the d5. So this is what I wanted like to say to you off top. So let's go back. So knight d4. Of course, Wesley So plays doesn't play against these fishy lines. He plays against the best players in the world, which know how to play chess, and that this move order with e5 and knight to b6 is not going to be played in the elite tournaments. So knight f6, the main move, attacking the e4, knight c3, and e5. So this is the idea of black. So they control. I mean, we can talk about this. They just develop e5 with the tempo, winning the tempo on this knight, and get ready to develop the bishop. And they will concede the d5 square, but when you play in black, you have to do some concessions. So this is how chess is played. So knight d5 and d6. You cannot play bishop to e7 because of the check on d6. So you would take this square with the pawn. So d6 and bishop g5. More modern approach is to play knight to d5, which has been played by Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana and Vladimir Kramnik. So this is the latest fashion in chess, to play knight to d5 and to keep the bishop on c1. This is the main line like today. Yeah, so they will play something like bishop e7, castles, knight d7, knight f6. So a lot of theory there. But we are just I'm doing this like amateur style. So we don't play knight. We have this knight to d5, but we don't play it. We have to make other move, and we play so d6 and bishop to g5. This is the second. This is also a great move. The second popular. They're the same. So knight to d5 and bishop g5. So essentially, idea is to fight for the d5 square, and white is ready to give up this. Give up this bishop on f6. So a6 now. So has to run away. b5 and knight to d5, because b4 is a threat with double attack on the knights, and knight to d5 is forced basically. Bishop e7, because black is threatening this knight on f6. So bishop e7, you need to develop the piece. again, bishop f6. We play this, we give up the bishop because we want to, with white, we want to control the d5 with the knight. And if we give it, so obviously we will not have this control anymore, and black will play d5 at some point. Because in the Najdorf and in Sicilian Sveshnikov, you have to know that if black has managed to play d5s, then they're better. So you don't want to let them play this. So that's why we give up the bishop, which takes this knight, which challenges this d5. All right, so bishop takes and c4. So here in this position, this is like tabia position. This is happened in millions of games, and I think that this is the first choice for white here. They play either c4 or c3. C3 was more popular previously. Now I think c4 is the main move, but they both moves are good. And for us, for our plan, it's doesn't really matter how we play, whether we play c3 or c4, but it's important that this knight here on a3 is bad. Yeah, we want to send it back to good square to c2 and then to e3 to reinforce the d5, and for that reason we need to move this c2 pawn, and we move it to c3 or to c4. But from this point of view, it doesn't matter. We can play c3 or c4. They're both good moves. So in this game, Wesley played c4. C4, and attacking the b5. Yeah, so with all these pieces, so b4 is forced. And knight to c2. So attacking the b4, b4 pawn, a5, and g3. So in this position, I think that white has several moves: queen d3, bishop e2. But you have to see that when the center is closed like this, we can call it a closed center. So as long as the center is closed, we have time to play something on the side. Yeah, we don't actually have to play immediately for castling. Yeah, so Wesley has this idea to play g3. Yeah. At this point, bishop and queen, I think they interfere each other. If we play bishop to e2, then we cannot play, let's say, queen to h5, which sometimes very good move. And on g2, it will be looking into this e4 pawn. So this is also not ideal square for the bishop. I played this position many times with white, and I just noticed with Wesley's game that he's not putting his bishop on g2 either, because he knows more chess obviously than me. And let's see what he does next. So bishop g5, this is standard. Black is not giving up his dark square bishop, because black is ready at some point to take it and to place his other knight to d5. All right, so h4, attacking the bishop. So bishop to h6, and in this position Wesley plays what I call the Wesley variation, yeah, Wesley So variation of the Sveshnikov Sicilian. The idea is to play bishop to h3, a strange looking move because white didn't castle yet. Hasn't castled yet, and you put your rook on h3, which looks this wouldn't go, let's say, in my mind, I wouldn't consider this move, never. But it appears that Wesley So plays it all the time. So let's see what happens if black takes this bishop. So obviously the only move is to take, queen to d7 and g4. We see that this bishop is under attack, and if we go g6, then it's knight f6 fork. If you, let's say, if you play castles, then okay, knight to b6 is a threat. So the idea here is engine gives white a really big advantage. Yeah, just because this king is safe. These pawns are attacking the king, and we control the d5 square. So Wesley somehow understood that exchange of these light square bishops might benefit white, because this knight cannot be challenged, and this bishop here is weak. Yeah, so this is the idea of the variation. So let's see how this game ended. Bishop e6, his opponent didn't take the bishop, as I explained. Takes, queen h5, knight e4, queen f6, castles, and so alright. The engine evaluation is not like the white is obviously winning, yeah, but you see that the king is in the center, and with f4 and e5 we will at some point open up the game, and white will have big advantage. And the second idea with this game is that black doesn't have counterplay. Yeah, after we exchange these light square bishops, it's much harder for black to create something. All right, let's move on. Let's see some other game for this Wesley So variation. So he played against so this position again, as I explained to you with c4, so we can play c3 as well. So this is a game against Magnus Carlsen. Knight c3, bishop to b, rook to b8, h4. Magnus is not playing bishop to g5. He might be ready to exchange this bishop. So he plays g6, g3, and h5. Another idea of Wesley, yeah, to attack on the king's side, and he's sure that his king is safe on e1, and he just plays h5. I like this idea a lot, because he somehow controls all the squares, and he feels free to start the attack himself. Exchange, and again we see this bishop to h3, important move to get rid of the light square bishops and have control of the light squares. b4, c3, and castles. Well, they ended in a draw in like 15 moves, but clearly white is better. Yeah, this bishop is not playing. This bishop is much stronger. I think white controls the d5 still. Black cannot play d5, and again Wesley employs the same idea, yeah, to play g3 and exchange these light square bishops. Okay, so, and I'll show you one more game. Okay, so back. So this is game against Pascua in Manila 2008. h4, bishop e6 and bishop h3 again. So we just play g3. We didn't castle because we might need our rook here, and I mean, if we castle, we obviously cannot play bishop to h3. So the idea is, if you're playing these variations, yeah, to exchange the light square bishop of black, and then you will have more control on d5, and white will not have two bishops, and we will play for domination. This is important, yeah. Okay, rook b8 takes, and he played bishop g2. So this is the first line move. Wesley, as white decided to attack this light square bishop, so they conceded these double pawns on the king side, and then they just move back. f5 and queen e3. All right, so sometimes somewhere in this position Wesley made a mistake, and Angel proposes him to play castles queen side, and says that white has some advantage here. Well, could be. All right, hope that this clears. If you have, let's say, idea, question how to play against Sveshnikov Sicilian. So this is, let's quickly revise. So we play c4, which is the modern line, then play g3, h4, because the center is closed. And after that, we try to exchange light square bishops. So this is the idea, this is how Wesley So plays, and this is how we should learn from him. Alright, thank you very much, and see you next time.